Shorts. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we hope we will help you discover some tools and technologies that are going to help you with your day-to-day work. My name's Andi Coffin. I'm a community liaison and service specialist with WiLS, and I'd like to share a little bit about WiLSWorld Shorts before we begin. WiLSWorld Shorts are intended to be small extensions of WiLSWorld, our yearly annual conference, to help members learn about the things they're interested in or need help with. We hear from our members those things all year round, and those needs are often a little more immediate than what WiLSWorld can provide, since it's a once-a-year annual conference. So we're starting with this plan to do some quarterly free webinars, and today's webinar highlights some of the tools for virtual collaboration and communication that we use daily. In June, we'll hold another one on open access. In September, we'll invite a vendor partner to kind of put the sales pitch aside and to share expertise on some of the bigger and broader issues that unite all of us in the business of providing library service. And finally, in December, we'll expand on a program or a workshop that was from the WiLSWorld conference that attendees expressed particular interest in learning more about. Nope. All right, there we go. This is 4 other WiLS staffers are on the line here with me today. I will be presenting, I'm Andi Coffin, about Slack and Grammarly. Jeff Bruner will discuss Boomerang. Sarah Gold will talk about Undo Send. Lisa Martin will share her expertise with Smartsheet. And Melody Clark will be telling us all about Toggl. We chose these tools because we feel that they help us do our jobs better. There are a couple of logistical notes. There are a lot of people on the line with us today, so we're going to reserve questions until the end of the webinar, and we'll get to as many of those as we possibly can in the time we have today. We are always available to answer questions offline as well. Our contact information will be at the end of the webinar, and you can also find our contact info on our website at wils.org. We'll also send a recording of the webinar today as a follow-up as well. To note, behind the scenes, we're doing kind of a lot of go-to-meeting magic, switching presenters so that each of us can share what we know and do some demonstrations with these tools. So if there is a slightly uncomfortable long pause between presenters, please bear with us. We are there. So diving right in, today I'm going to talk a little bit about Slack and Grammarly, and I will start with showing you what Slack looks like. We'll start up here. So this is Slack. We love Slack. It's an online tool or a downloadable desktop app that is a chat client but has a bunch of additional features that made it a better option for us. We had previously used GChat, and we found that there were some things we wanted GChat to do that it did not, and quite a while ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we switched to using Slack. In addition to being able to send direct messages to team members or to groups of team members like GChat would allow you to do, Slack allows you to kind of funnel conversations into channels based on different topics or teams that you're working on, and it eliminates some of the noise for other team members who are involved with that. It allows you to share files as well, which is something we often wanted with GChat too. So you can share files directly from your computer or from Google Drive. And right in Slack, you can actually create some files, including Google Docs, just kind of a text file, and posts, which act a lot like Google Documents and allow whoever you're sharing them with to edit them so you can collaborate kind of real time on things that you're doing. Slack also lets you send reminders to yourself. Earlier today, Sarah Gold and I were having a conversation, and we decided we would have a phone call in a half an hour, but I knew in a half an hour I would completely forget to call her. So I set up a reminder to myself to call her in a half an hour, and a half an hour later, Slackbot, the little friendly robot that controls Slack, pinged me and said, "You asked me to remind you to call Sarah," and I called Sarah and we had a conversation. So I didn't forget. You can also search your archive of messages, and that includes messages from channels as well as direct messages. And because Slack is becoming sort of an industry standard, there are a lot of integrations that you can put into Slack, so all of the things that all of the tools that you might use have a single place to kind of notify you that things are happening. So personally, I use it with a tool called Airtable, which is an online database creation tool. When I've integrated it with Slack, so when somebody adds something to that database, I get a notification that it's been updated. So I don't have to keep Airtable up in my browser along with all the other things I might be using. This is just the list of apps that integrate with Slack for communications. There are tons of other types, and this list is long. So there are quite a few ways that you can use Slack as a central place to tie all of these other disparate tools that you're using together. For us as well, Slack, WiLS is a virtual organization, so Slack kind of provides us with an office space. The first thing we do when we get on our computers every morning is to log into Slack and say hello and let folks know that you're there. This little status up here, the little red dot that you see on your screen, lets you know that I am available. You can see some of my teammates are available and some are not, and that just lets you know who is there. Also, you're able to customize your notifications. So if you are, for me, I use this a lot for writing. If I kind of need a distraction-free time, I can snooze the notifications from Slack, which means I will hear nothing from Slack in an hour. In an hour, I'll get all of my messages. You don't have to wait to get that if you come back before then. Slackbot lets you know if you had messages while you were away. You can also set up a do not disturb schedule. So if you don't want to receive Slack messages between 10 and 7, you can set that up as well. You can also do kind of a bunch of fun things that make office time a little easier. We have a water cooler channel where we share messages to one another that kind of are offline, non-work related office chit-chat kind of stuff. We also, sorry about that. We also it integrates with Giphy and a cat-specific Giphy called Meow. So you can send little animated GIFs to your team members and argue about how to pronounce Giphy. With Slack, there's a free version and a paid version. There are two paid versions. So there's a free version and then a standard plan, which is what we use, and a pro plan, which includes kind of some more support and reporting and extra storage. It should be noted, nonprofit teams up to 250 members can upgrade to Slack's standard plan for free. And that raises sort of an important point to frame with all of the things we're talking about today. Always ask before you purchase any sort of online tool or technology if there's a nonprofit rate, because more often than not, there will be one. And we've benefited a lot just from that. I use Canva Pro, and I use it for free because we're a nonprofit. We use Basecamp at a reduced rate, Smartsheet, and a ton of other tools that we use are available for free or with discounts. That covers Slack. We will, again, as I mentioned, talk about, I will answer your questions at the end as we have time. I'm going to dig right into Grammarly. It's another tool I use very, very often. I do a lot of writing and editing in my work at WiLS, and it results in a ton of typos. And I really, really, really hate my own typos. So Grammarly kind of takes spell check to another level by identifying other areas that spell check won't catch. So if you type a word twice, if you have incorrect verb tenses in complex sentences, if you're missing commas or you have too many commas, I am guilty of both of these somehow. It will catch that and give you the red squiggle underline. Grammarly is an online tool, so there's kind of a software you can download to run on your computer, but it's also available as a browser add-on for Chrome and Firefox and Safari, and that's primarily how I use it. Grammarly for Windows can be used on Internet Explorer, Edge, and the Microsoft Office products. Again, with like with Slack, there's a free version and a paid version, and the difference is really in the depth of the grammar correction that you want. So the free version checks against 150 types of grammar errors. The paid version checks against 250, and it includes some functionality that enhances writing, so not necessarily correcting it, but sort of making your writing better by providing thesaurus suggestions if you repeat a word a lot, telling you to vary your sentence lengths to make your reading more engaging. It also has plagiarism detector built right in. So that's the paid version. WiLS uses the free version because it has everything that we need. And the paid version is a little pricey at $30 a month. We don't know if there's a nonprofit rate for this one because we've never needed it kind of any more advanced than what we use it. And I want to show you how it works in action here. I've composed a error-riddled email to Jeff to show you how it checks for errors. So you will get a little more information about what the problem is. So in this one, I'm missing a comma, and then you can correct it. Well, okay. It doesn't want to stay up. So you would, there, and then you can just correct it right in the document. And this is super helpful for all the errors that come out of typing really fast. There are kind of two setbacks to Grammarly that I've encountered. One of them is that it doesn't integrate with Google Docs yet. They keep saying that that's on its way, so that might be one that's resolved soon. Also, it doesn't spell check your subject lines, and that can be a problem, so you have to manually perform Grammarly action on those subject lines. So that covers the basics of Slack and Grammarly. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask them at the end of the webinar or send us an email. Our contact info will be at the end. And I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Bruner.
Hi, everyone. Jeff Bruner here. I'm going to wrestle control of the presentation from Andi, so hopefully everyone can now easily see my screen. Let me just flip to the audience view. Great. Okay. So I'm going to talk about Boomerang for Gmail. Boomerang is an add-on for Gmail that gives you a lot of great options for for using Gmail in different ways. It really enhances the capabilities of it beyond just being a real simple send and receive email client. So let's start with the basic and kind of first use of Boomerang, which is boomeranging. So here I've opened, I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I think we decided yesterday it needed to be a little bit bigger to be more visible on the screen here. So I've opened up a new message in Gmail that I'm going to be sending out to Andi. And there's that. Actually, I'm going to send it to my little test account. I've got a little test account I created called Tom Testorino123. All right, so we're going to send a message to myself in Boomerang. And the main function of boomeranging is kind of an automated return process. So if I send a message to Tom and he doesn't get back to me in an amount of time that I've specified, this message is going to pop up back in my inbox. And I do that with this little box down here. So we'll talk about how to set up Boomerang in a minute, but I wanted to send one message so that you could see it bounce back to me before the end of my time. So when I come down to the bottom of this message here, it says boomerang this in 2 days if no reply. So I'm going to click on that checkbox and I'm going to change this time value from 2 days. I'm going to change it to a specified time which will be today at 1:17 p.m. I'll click confirm and I'll send. So now that message has gone off to Tom, and now I'm waiting to hear back from him. I use this a lot when I'm corresponding with our vendor partners. That's my main usage of it, is to be able to keep up and follow up with messages that I've sent out if I haven't heard responses back as quickly as I'd like. So let's look at some of the other functions of Boomerang while we wait for that one to come back. So I'm going to go back into compose a new message here. And the next kind of function I want to talk about is this big red button down here you see that says send later. This is another really important feature that we use at WiLS because we have kind of a communications blackout time that we're really not supposed to be sending emails, and I can't even remember. It's like after 6 p.m. I think, and before, I'm not sure, 5 or 7 a.m. In the morning. But many of us do work outside of those hours at WiLS, so Boomerang helps us to send a bunch of emails, but they don't actually send out until business hours. That way you can clear your inbox, but you're not sending other people messages at weird times. So if I set up a message here that I want to send later, I'll come down here and click on send later. And I get a little pop-up that gives me a bunch of choices. So I want to send this in an hour, or in 2 hours, or tomorrow morning, or 2 days, or at a specific time. This is similar to what we saw on the boomeranging menu, but instead of when will it return, this is really when will it go out. So I'm going to send this message in 1 hour. So it'll schedule the message. This is taking longer than usual. Okay, there it goes. And now that's just going to sort of sit there and wait to go out. I get a little pop-up here letting me know that that's happening. So the third little function is related to sending later. When I come down here and click on send later, you might have seen way at the bottom of the little send later interface, there's a thing that says schedule recurring message. So let's click on that. Oh, right, sorry. First I have to set up my recipient, and then I'll do schedule a recurring message. So this interface allows me to instruct Boomerang that I want to send the same message over and over again on a repeated schedule. So we use this in WiLS. Some of us use this as sort of a reminder system for things that we have to do over and over again. So I get a message at the beginning, I think at the beginning of the month, every month, from our director Steph, reminding me. Actually, everybody at WiLS gets this message reminding us to, update our timesheets or update our Toggl reports, which Melody will be talking about a little bit later. Some kind of month-end things that need to be, data that needs to be entered every month. So this is very much like a sort of like an auto reply or a recurring weekly meeting, or kind of a recurring meeting that you might set up in a calendar app, but instead it's a recurring message. So we just choose our start date, send time, how frequently are we going to send this out, when will it end, and so forth, and then click schedule. I'm not actually going to schedule this because I'll forget to take it off, and then all these messages will be showing up in my other test email here. So, but I can set that up, and then, like I said, whatever schedule you've prearranged, this message will go out again and again from your email. Okay, so here's that test message I sent. You can see that it's popped back into my inbox because I hadn't gotten a reply from Tom Testorino before 1:17 p.m. So at 1:17 p.m. the message comes back. So in this case, I could say, all right, well, I never heard back from Tom. I'd better follow up on him again on that critical test email that I sent him, find out what he's doing with that. So getting Boomerang or setting it up is pretty easy. This is an add-on. it adds onto your browser, and you can add it onto, I think, Chrome, Firefox. I think there's an Internet Explorer version of this. There is an Android version as well. And so I did this by coming to boomeranggmail.com, and here you can, just go ahead and set it up. Now, Boomerang, there's like Grammarly and some of the other products that we talk about, there is a free version, this basic free version, but it's fairly limited. You can do like, I guess, 10 per month. For me, that's laughable. I mean, I do 10, 15, 20 Boomerang messages a day, so I really needed some kind of a paid version. WiLS purchases Boomerang for Teams, although I can't remember whether we get one of these nonprofit discounts that Andy was talking about, but that's certainly worth looking into. And the last thing I kind of wanted to show you here is in either kind of on the website or from within your browser. You can click on this little icon for Boomerang up here in the browser, and you can manage your scheduled messages too. So that takes you to a web interface, and this will allow me to look at various things that I currently have boomeranged, and I'm waiting to have, that I'm just waiting to have them come back, or if there are things, recurring messages that need some kind of follow-up or adjustment, I can make those kinds of adjustments here as well. There are lots of other features that Boomerang can offer that I haven't talked about because I probably could do a full half hour on Boomerang. Many of them, as you can see here on the screen, are tied to more expensive paid plans. But there are things like read receipts, click tracking, this cool thing that recently showed up called Respondable, which you could see here as I'm writing a message. We've got this little thing down here in the corner that sort of helps you make better email messages. It kind of like reads the message you're writing and checks it for like politeness and actionable statements and so forth to kind of help you to write better messages. I haven't really used that at all, as most of you who've gotten email from me can probably tell, but it's there. It's something that that I'll probably start to investigate a little more too. Okay, the last thing before I turn things over is you probably also noticed that there's a Boomerang button here in addition to the one that's sort of in the browser thing, or sort of the Gmail interface. This is a message a button that's in each message. So if I'm in a message, or let's say I sent a message out. Ooh, can I look at one that's not? All right. Here's one that the previous one I sent to Tom. If I come up to this little Boomerang button for something that I had already sent, say I forget to send a message or to Boomerang a message, I can, after the fact, apply Boomerang options to it to have it come back later. Okay, so that's all the time I'm going to take up talking about Boomerang. So at this point, I think I'm going to be handing things off to Sarah, who's going to talk about another Gmail add-on called Undo Send.
Thank you, Jeff. Good afternoon. I am going to talk about Undo Send, which could be a cure-all for the you clicked send, oh crap problem. Undo Send allows a user to retract a sent email for up to 30 seconds, depending on the settings that you choose. To enable Undo Send, you can go to Settings, and then there is a little button that says Enable Undo Send. And I believe the default cancellation period is 5 seconds. I want more time. It goes up to 30 seconds. So I'm going to choose 30 seconds. And then make sure to click Save Changes. Okay. And there are variations of Undo Send in other email applications. I know Outlook has one. I'm guessing that Yahoo probably has one. This is how you do it in Gmail. So let's go ahead, and we've got a draft email about a surprise party for Jeff. And as you see here, I've got Jeff copied on the email. So I'm going to click send. And then up here, there's the email back. So Jeff did not find out about his surprise party. Problem solved. So Undo Send is really an easy fix for all of your not quite ready for prime time emails. It is free. It's very easy to use, as you can see. And that's all I have. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Lisa, who will talk about Smartsheet. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Smartsheet. It is a web-based project and management tool, project and task manager tool. There are sheets and reports are built from any combination of sheets based on certain criteria. There are also a bunch of different templates that my Smartsheet provides for event management, budgeting purposes, and other task-related projects. So the way that WiLS has set it up is we each have individual project and task sheets, and we use a project column within this sheet so that we can organize what projects we are working on and the various tasks related to that project. For WiLS, sheets are for staff members, and then the reports are for projects. One example of a project is our annual WiLSWorld event. So when you create a report, the report builder pops up, and you get an option to build your report based on where, who, what, and when. And for this report, the where, who, and when weren't as important as the what. So we needed to see all of the tasks that were not done with the project listed as WiLSWorld. And so when you click Run, and then we get a list of all of the tasks with the project listed as WiLSWorld, you can see it's pulled from various staff members' sheets. So we have Lisa's, we have Andy's and Emily's and Steph. And then if we were to scroll, we would see a lot more. One awesome thing about Smartsheet is that you can attach important documents and create conversations for each row or task. You can also, oops, went too far. There we go. You can also easily set up automated alerts to remind you and others on your team about upcoming tasks and approaching deadlines or due dates. Smartsheet can also send you notifications via email when other people make changes to a sheet. And you determine who receives the notification, how often, and based on what criteria. Oops, sorry. There we go. So Smartsheet also has a great G Suite integration. G Suite is Google Apps. Some of the highlights are single sign-on with your Gmail account with just a click of a button. Google Drive, you can attach any type of file or a Google Drive or a Google Doc directly to each row, and you can also create a new Smartsheet directly from Drive if you have creating capabilities. In Gmail, you can import your Google contacts into your Smartsheet account, and you can also update project information straight from Gmail. And then you can also, with Google Calendar, sync your project plan. So while you do need to pay for licensed users, as they are the only ones who can create sheets and reports, you can have as many non-licensed users or collaborators as you want. Non-licensed users can add rows or tasks to existing sheets, but they won't be able to create new sheets and reports or change the layout of the sheets. Smartsheet does have nonprofit pricing, and it starts at $3.99 a year for 3 licensed users, and that is the minimum. But we have found it is a well-worth tool for us. So next up, we have Melody, who will be sharing some information about Toggl.
Hey, great. I'm going to take over. All right, so I am going to talk about Toggl. If you're unfamiliar with that, it's a free time tracker and timesheet software. It is predominantly project-based, and you can use it to track teams or individuals. It also has reporting capabilities, so you can see statistics over periods of time. And there is a web-based version, a desktop app, and also an app for smartphones and other devices. So I'm going to show you the desktop app first. It's a little bit more simplistic. So here we have the desktop app, and you can kind of make it small so it can stay on your screen while you're working. And it's pretty straightforward, this portion is. So it says, what are you doing? So for instance, if you have, you can use this as a timesheet. So when a person starts working, if they're on the circulation desk, they can put circulation desk in. Or if you have some staff members that work partially in circulation service and partially in technical services or something like that, and you want to keep track of where they're going and when they're in what area, or if you're working on a big project and you want to be able to keep track of how long it actually is taking you to do that project or any committee work, so forth, you can break those up into different projects. So I'm just going to put in tooltip time. And I'm just going to hit start. So this is going to actually start from the point that I hit start to stop. It'll just track that. But a lot of times I will forget to keep track. So there is the option that, oh, I actually started this 10 minutes ago. So you can actually click on it, and you'll get this box that jumps out. And I can actually say that, oh, I didn't start it at 1:30. I actually started it at 1:20. And when I tab out of that, it's going to change that for 27 seconds to 10 minutes. So you're able to modify that as you keep track of time. So the other thing I didn't fill out, I just put in the project, or what I was doing right now was tooltip time. And I have some preset projects. These are things that I personally work on, but I can add a new project, or I can just put something in here right now. So I'm just going to say webinar. That's my new project. Close that out, and it's still going to run. So I'm done with this, so I'm going to hit stop. And this it will continue to just run in the background. And just like with the option where I didn't start it, sometimes I will accidentally forget to stop it. So I can hit stop, and I can come back in here and say, oh, I actually ended at 1:29 and modify that there. If you are doing things that are not on your computer anymore, Toggl will send you these little pop-up reminders saying, hey, you haven't done anything in 5 minutes. Should I still keep track? And so it gives you those notifications as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you the web-based version now. So this is Toggl, and I am the web-based version, and it's toggl.com. Note that there is no E at the end of Toggl. It's just Toggl. And I'm logged in with the same account that I had logged in with on the desktop version. So you can see that that desktop version that I just did and logged appears right here as well. So tooltip time shows me how long I did it. I can also track new projects here. I don't have to use the desktop version. I can just do it all here online. So I could do tooltip time again. Once you add an entry, it automatically will pop up, and I can immediately start. And I can hit stop again, and you'll see it jumps down here. So in the web-based version, I have a lot more options. I can manage my different projects, so I can create a new project, and it shows all the different projects that I have. I can also come up here and look at a couple of different things. We have a dashboard and reports. So the dashboard just shows you kind of what you've been doing this week. You can also change it to look at like last month or last year. look at last year, it looks a little bit more impressive. So I scroll down here, and it shows me, it shows all of the different projects that I worked on and the amount of time that I spent on all of them. And then it also has kind of a most tracked to least tracked over here, project-wise. But you can change that, and you can look at it by monthly. If you are reporting or looking at maybe a team, so if you have a team of people, we can go down here to team. So I'm the only one, I'm not looking at anybody else's on my team. However, Lisa actually goes in and she pulls reports for everybody, and so she has access to mine. So I can see that she's listed here on my team, and she can pull any reports of all my Toggl time. So she can come in here and click on reports, and she can say, well, I need to know what Melody did or didn't do this last month. And so she can get a list of everything that I did last month, again, by project based, and she can export it either to a comma delimited or a PDF, and she can throw that into Excel and use that. The other kind of nice thing here is if I just wanted to look at a specific project, I can actually say, well, I need to know how much I worked on one specific project. Or, you know, maybe this would be a weeding project or something like that. I tab out of that and then click Apply, and then it's only going to show me this one project. And let's see here. I think that is about it regarding Toggl. So again, this is a free online timesheet tracker, and it has, the nice thing is it also can, I think I mentioned it's an app as well that can go on a smartphone or any other type of device. So I think I'm going to hand it back to Lisa, and I think we have time for questions.
Yes. So at this point, does anyone have any questions? If so, let's start writing them in chat. That way we can kind of monitor them and we don't have everyone start talking at once. So if you have any questions, just start typing the question in the chat box on the GoToMeeting menu. Any questions, just type them in and we are happy to answer any of them. So it doesn't look like, okay, there we go. Tasha, does anyone have recommendations for scheduling software for service desks? If you do, go ahead and type them in. There we go. Cheryl, how long is Undo Send available for a message? You can change that setting from anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds right in the settings on Gmail. So I think you have 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30 seconds are the options. And it actually will just sit in your outbox until the 30 seconds is up.
And if you're really paranoid, you could just get Boomerang and send all of your messages as send later, and you know, put some hour on it or something, so you always will have an additional time to go back. But that might be a little bit extreme.
Anyone else have any other questions? Minitex asked if there were any privacy concerns with Grammarly. Andi, are you aware of any?
I'm not, and I hadn't really considered it as a tool that might have privacy concerns. And I'm guessing the thought is that your message is being infiltrated, right, by this robot to do the spell checking. I haven't investigated that. That's a good question, Minitex.
Any other questions, or if you want to see another tool, we can bring that back up for you. Just let us know. Otherwise, we are available. You can contact us at any time with any questions that we may not have gotten to, or if you think of something after we hang up, you can go ahead and ask us. Doesn't look like anyone else is asking, so thank you very much for attending our first WiLSWorld short. We recorded this webinar and it will be shared on our website and to the attendees. We will also send a follow-up survey that we would really appreciate your feedback on. Our next WiLSWorld short will be on June 16th and it will be about open access, so keep an eye out for messaging regarding that. And like I said again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for coming.